is a website from novascotia.ca. And it's from the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, Geoscience and Mines branch. And this is the Nova Scotia Abandoned Mine Openings database. And down here, they have an online interactive map. The purpose of the Nova Scotia Geoscience Atlas online interactive map is to provide the public with a single geographic compilation of geoscience maps, databases, and images created and maintained by the Nova Scotia Department of Energy and Mines, Geoscience and Mines branch. The interactive map displays a number of layers including geological map of the province of Nova Scotia, Surfacal geology map of the province of Nova Scotia, grids for mineral claims, tracts, and petroleum reservations, Nova Scotia Mineral Rights Database, Nova Scotia Mineral Occurrence Database, Nova Scotia Drill Holes Database, Nova Scotia Nova Scotia Abandoned Mine Openings Database is which we're looking at now, and shaded relief images of Nova Scotia, as well as coal seams and workings. Well, just to give you a brief overview, we'll scroll into where Jack and Lily's home was. New Glasgow area, and you can see all of the dots surrounding the city that look to be abandoned mine shafts. We're more interested in this area down here, which there's Lansdowne Lake right here, Garlock Road, which is 289. There's the train tracks, and Jack and Lily will be right there where you see the blue mark. Now what would be the term transposed? I've searched out, there's 4 up here just off, there's 4 abandoned mine shafts just off Lansdowne Road here, off Garlock Road. I've got them already marked up on Google Earth Maps, so you can hit the link that's in the description of this video and go and check it out in relation to everything else if it's that much easier for you. I'll also put a link to this Geoscience Atlas in the description as well for you guys to peruse. But as far as mine shafts, there's a few more in the area. Depends what you consider on in the area. I'll zoom out and you can get a better sense. There are there's 4 that we just saw off Lansdowne Road. There's another 3 down here. That's just north of Rug Lake, by the way. There's 3 right there. And there's 1 right down here, south of the railroad tracks, south by Earls. There's that. And there is another one marked up here, getting closer. Where are we here? Right there. Up by this marshy area off the TransCanada. And then there's some on the other side of the TransCanada, really close to roads and populated areas in that sense. I didn't mark those down, but you can obviously go through and search for yourself. No, there's no secret openings on the property, none that's marked on the Geoscience Atlas in that sense. So I thought that was an interesting map to take a look at anyway for those people who are out there planning on searching in the future, and I hope that is at least some of you. You can contact me at stepbystepexploringvideos@gmail.com if you would like my assistance in any way. And a quick view back over on our little project, Jack and Lily Sullivan Bodies of Water and Search Sites. There's, of course, Jack and Lily's place right there, up the road, past Lansdowne House, into what they call New Lairg, and this is New Lairg Road. Across from the house, a little body of water. There's the 4 mine shafts, somewhere in that area. And of course, Rug Lake, famous Rug Lake, which is down over here. There's abandoned mine shafts just along that tributary that feeds that particular lake. I'm not sure if it feeds it in or if it's actually going out. I don't know. By the way, there's this channel with 92 subs. You can go over and check them out. Adventures Underwater UK. He's put all of Janie's voice messages together from Sunny's channel. It's a criming shame. And the 2 drone videos are from the channel Tint. So please go check them out, he says. Kim Red, who comes to my channel, I had to unsub. I can't stand that Sunny's attitude and waffling. He says, hi, don't worry, that's fine. I just after put the children first, Jack and Lily, but everyone's entitled to their own opinions. So I'm not offended, but thank you anyway. I had to unsub. Oh my God. Give the guy a break. Give this guy a break. I said, thank you for putting this crap all in one place. It makes it easier to source. And it does. It's 2.5 hours. I hadn't realized there were that many voice messages in totality from Janie. It seems to be taking forever. And every day that you analyze a new statement of hers, the worse that she looks. My God. Janie, you should have never, ever came out and said anything at all. I know you're listening to this, laying down in your RV with your idiot son beside you. But to be honest, I'll be over at this particular channel all the time. I think I'm going to source the quotes from here. It's a lot easier than to find them on other people's channel anyway. Guys, go check it out yourselves. Don't be afraid to tell him that you're going to sub and then unsub. The guy's just got 62 subscribers. 60. He used to have 63. This guy. Thanks a lot, Kim Red. Why would you unsub from this guy because of Sunny and the girls over at It's a Criming Shame? You're just looking to take your anger out on somebody. They're popular to hate in the circumstance. But personally, I'm glad they're doing it, because if it wasn't them, it would probably be Cher from Voices Behind the Wall, and that would probably be worse. Over here at Ninchi's, she had a really good stream, which is 47 minutes this morning, titled "What Life Was Like." What life was really like inside that trailer. She's got a great handle on statement analysis too, and I appreciate her content. She had 2 statements from Janie this morning that really stood out in my mind, and you can really feel the overt resentment towards these kids. But in the same time, she turns around and tells you that she was the one that was doing all of the child rearing around there, the one paying attention to Jack and Lily. And at this point, I don't mind paraphrasing, because she's essentially asking you to do that. She's asking you to really fill in the blanks. Not that isn't a sign of avoidance or sensitivity area in this circumstance, but it's a pattern of behavior. And yeah, so I'm just making sure that you know that I know that we're paraphrasing. That's all. Listen, she can't hide. She's trying to normalize and have you, through guilt and emotional blackmail, accept her reasoning for why Malaya Brooks was such a horrible mother. She was bullied around that place. You can tell right now. What a hellhole this home is and was for these children. The fact that this whole family is out here participating and aiding and abetting Daniel and whatever he did. It was a combined effort. in the escalation. I've got no doubt about that, because Daniel would have been well conditioned to Janie's controlling ways. There's no reasoning behind these controlling ways other than to silence the children and stifle them to save your own peace and quiet in that circumstance. This doesn't ring as a person who particularly appreciates children or likes them at all. And she's insistent on wanting you to believe that she considered Jack and Lily her own grandkids to make herself, to bolster her own image in that point. And another thing to do on the back of Jack and Lily at this point, you can't have it all ways, you idiots. You don't hide the resentment towards the kids, these other kids, those kids. You avoid talking about them directly, Jack and Lily. You've got no pictures of them, which is low on my list. But it's just another thing for Janie. She doesn't keep pictures of them. She doesn't need them, she says. She lived with them every day. And then she starts into crying and telling you all about how much she's victimized because she can't see her grandkids. And that's somehow the establishment's fault. That's somehow other people's fault for the horror that you put these children through at your home. Again, it's just an attempt to make herself look like she is somehow being victimized in all of this, far ahead of the curve. Ain't nobody victimized you yet, because nobody out here can verify anything that you've done other than provide endless amounts of justifications as to why you didn't hear them that morning, why Malaya Brooks is such a horrible person, why these kids were so noisy, didn't listen, they're always up to no good, there are menaces around that property. And after you say that, you want everybody to believe how much that you loved Jack and Lily. You didn't have any love for them, and you have no love for yourself. Or none of this would have happened. And this stupid crap about how Justin is crying because you're crying. You guys have very unsophisticated processes going on psychologically. And it screams more about yourself than it does about caring where those kids went, what happened to them. You have not once, ever delved into Jack and Lily. Should the conversation have got there, you'd be in real trouble, wouldn't you? So, on the screen, I've got two little infographics I made, I guess you can consider them, about the PLAIDS acronym in statement analysis, especially, well, not especially. The top one is Mike demands adaptation, which I'm really starting to prefer, by the way. Framework A is below, which is the usual, but it doesn't mean that you can't incorporate other small details to make it your own, or not to make it your own, but to highlight more the psychological intent, the intent behind what the individual is saying. That's what I feel that Mike's does in that sense. But priorities, leakage, avoidance, intentions, deception, and sensitivities. PLAIDS. And of course, Mike loves to throw his copyright around that over. That makes me laugh, but that's fine. I'm just letting you know where I got that one from. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. In this case, I like it a lot more at this point in time. It's not as we'll say generalized. Framework A is pronouns, language, additions, inconsistencies, details, and sensitivities. Mike's is just more detailed around the person's intent in their comment, and I like that. And their statement, excuse me. I find that I like that. Let's take a look at this statement from Janie. the statement is, and I'm going to read it before I play it here because she's really turning on the emotions. She's pretending to be so emotional, but it sounds like she's overacting. Well, she is. The statement is, quote, I watched my other oldest 2 grandchildren play with those kids for the last 2 years, and now they don't even know what's happening. They don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. They don't know where they are. It's not about me. It's about I'm worried about my grandchildren. She just contradicted herself right there. What impact this is having on them? I can recover from this. Oh, believe me, we know. It's going to take me a long time, but just think what the impact has on my grandchildren and Jack and Lily. Yeah, we think about the impact. They're dead, honey. All right? And you're aiding and abetting the suspect at this point in time. You're going to be in jail for a long time, honey. All of these statements. I watched my other oldest 2 grandchildren play with those kids for the last 2 years, and now they don't even know what's happening. They don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. Why is it their problem, Janie? You don't know. It's your responsibility. There's another example of her trying to shed any sort of responsibility. This after stating that you see everything around there. You're in full control. You sound just like Daniel. I wonder where he got that from. They don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. They don't know where they are. As if that's their responsibility. No, it's your responsibility. It's not about me. Oh yeah, it is. It's about I'm worried about my grandchildren. That's making it about you, honey. It's about I'm worried about my grandchildren is making it about you. You should have thought of that long before you started making these comments. What impact this is having on them. I can recover from this. It's going to take me a long time. But just think what the impact has on my grandchildren and Jack and Lily. Why don't you think about it and then articulate that to us in a statement? I'm going to use the PLAIDS analysis on this. I'm going to use Mike Demand's adaptation, which is priority, leakage, avoidance, intentions, deception, and sensitivities. Janie prioritizes her biological grandchildren's emotional impact, quote, my grandchildren, relegating Jack and Lily to an afterthought, and Jack and Lily, end quote. This is a major leak, friends. The use of the term, quote, those kids, and the distinction between the term my grandchildren and the term Jack and Lily leak her true view that they are not family. Janie avoids detailing Jack and Lily's feelings, focusing on her grandchildren and her own recovery, sidestepping her role in their disappearance. Her intention is to garner sympathy by emphasizing her grandchildren's distress while deflecting from her responsibility. The claim, it's not about me, is deceptive as the narrative centers on her family's suffering, and the afterthought inclusion of Jack and Lily contradicts her earlier familial claims. The defensive, it's not about me statement and focus on her grandchildren show sensitivity to accusations of indifference, as seen in most audience comments. What Jack and Lily are feeling now was the last thing in her emotional sentence. Janie's statement prioritizes her biological grandchildren with, quote, those kids and the afterthought inclusion of Jack and Lily leaking her resentment. The deceptive claim of selflessness and avoidance of the children's fate suggests an intention to deflect blame. And I believe Nietzsche really came out with having an overall view of her being uncaring.
I watched my oldest two grandchildren playing with those kids for the last 2 years, and now they don't even know what's happening. They don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. They don't know where they are. It's not about me. I'm worried about my grandchildren. What impact this is having on them. I can recover from this. It's going to take me a long time, but just think what the impact has on my grandchildren and Jack and Lily.
Doesn't sound very convincing, does it? Oh, and Jack and Lily. It's not about me. Oh, yeah, it is. Let's go back and use Framework A for a moment. So going back and referring back to the PLAIDS Framework A, pronouns, language, additions, inconsistencies, details, sensitivity. Janie uses the term, quote, my oldest two grandchildren, end quote, those kids for Jack and Lily, clearly distinguishing them from her biological grandchildren. The shift to my grandchildren excludes Jack and Lily. The phrase, those kids, is distancing and impersonal, while, quote, my grandchildren is possessive, revealing her true allegiance. The claim, quote, it's not about me, is contradicted by her focus on her suffering. The focus on her grandchildren's emotional impact and her recovery is a tangent, shifting attention from Jack and Lily's fate to her family's feelings. Janie's inclusion of Jack and Lily at the end feels like an afterthought, contradicting her earlier claim of considering them family. Even Nietzsche calls this the biggest bit of leakage. The specific mention of her grandchildren's confusion lacks details about Jack and Lily's experiences, reinforcing their secondary status in her narrative. The defensive term, it's not about me, and focus on her grandchildren's impact suggests sensitivity to accusations of indifference. So this statement is a critical leak, as Nietzsche on her channel was emphasizing this morning, showing Janie's prioritization of her biological grandchildren over Jack and Lily. The use of the term those kids and the afterthought inclusion of Jack and Lily reveal her resentment and lack of emotional connection, undermining her claims of care. We're taking a look back through some of the polls I posted 4 days ago. How credible do you find Janie's claim that she observed the kids daily because Malaya was negligent? 65% of you said it's not credible, she's deflecting blame. 6% said she's highly credible. Does Janie's use of the term those kids when referring to Jack and Lily suggest emotional detachment? 71% of you said, yeah, it shows she didn't care about them. 5% said, no, it's just her speech pattern. Why do you think Janie refused to let the RCMP search her RV on May 2nd, 2025? 73% of you said she's hiding evidence related to Jack and Lily. The more and more I hear her, the more and more I believe that, whatever it may be. It could be anything. She wants to sit there and go on about her dog and how she's worried. She could have just put a leash on her dog and walked the dog outside while they searched. Problem solved. The fact that she wants to go on and grovel and go on about all the possibilities and how anybody who questions her answer doesn't know anything about dogs. It's you who doesn't know anything about dogs or child rearing or taking care of yourself or love, for that matter.